Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. Oh, that's a little bit of reverb. 2025. I look at my Cordaro Jewelers watch. It tells me it's 9:08:20 seconds. Broadcasting today from the United States of America, the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to our man John Basiliga and his great family of companies, like Michael McGurran, Scranton, Nelson DeWihe, Roaring Brook Township, Jerry Wagner, Hunlock Creek, Edward Krantz, Greenfield Township, Roger Brott, Bloomsburg, and Marshall Johnson of Catawissa, the United States of America, the place founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible founding fathers that government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our salvation, our direction. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America. It's the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. It couldn't be parceled out to groups, and it couldn't be controlled by government or government officials. Freedom was ours. Our great American Constitution ensured that because it codified freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press to say whatever they want. It's up to us to know what's better, what's right, what's true. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that we will create a sanctuary of sanity due to our commitment to common sense, that which makes sense. And we warn some of you. We love you, but we remind you it's not a safe harbor for stupidity. We will not suffer fools gladly. If you are a Governor Pritzker or Governor Newsom or AOC fan, well, we don't have time for stupidity. We don't. You can't make time for it. You got the Democrat Party meeting in Minneapolis and proving what they are. You've got officials in Chicago and Illinois, and they are saying, well, we don't care how many Chicagoans get killed. We don't care about violence in the city. We don't want any help. I talked about this yesterday. I thought about it. I said the pure insanity of it. It's got to make normal Democrats, and by the way, there are many. It's got to make normal Democrats just quiver with anger. That there could be people running this show, meaning the Democrat Party, that are that stupid, that have that much disregard for the people they represent. How could you take an oath as governor, as congressman, as mayor? How could you take an oath to represent the people? It's sacred. And because the help is coming from Donald Trump and that he might steal some of your credit, you'd rather somebody die. It's that simple. It's unbelievable. Somebody pointed this out yesterday, and I had a note on it, and I didn't get to it. And they pointed out again today. Thank you. Democrats deployed the National Guard to the subways in New York. Do you remember Kathy Hochul? Kathy Hochul had the National Guard in the subways in New York. The listener continues, and that was okay. Trump deploys the Guard to Washington, D.C., and he's trying to take over black neighborhoods. Their hypocrisy is so clear, Ray Charles could see it, says Tom from Dallas. Hey, we've got a special Veterans Tribute today. Frank Yarosavich. And a member of his family is going to call in to talk about him in our 10:30 hour. We've got David DeCosmo on at 10 o'clock on the Shepton mine disaster. And we've got State Treasurer Stacey Garrity coming on at 11 o'clock. She is very interested, and it's exciting to me, in running for governor against the wolf in sheep's clothing, the left-wing lunatic, and ineffective governor who's got a better spin than even Gavin Newsom. He's got a hell of an act. He can't get a budget passed. He's draining all of our reserve funds for his wild spending because he's running for president of the United States. Josh Shapiro. We need someone with some sense, so we'll talk to Stacey Garrity today. And a little bit about that. She's not a declared candidate yet, but we'll go through all that. But yeah, this craziness in the Democrat Party. I mean, you review that Democrat summer conference in Minneapolis. I mean, it is an intellectual freak show. Now, just to show you how phony they are on everything, they have some Native American woman from, I guess, Minnesota. He's talking about reparations and how Indian land was stolen. Native American land, whatever you want to call them. And actually, let's go the reverse, whatever they want to call themselves. So Native American land was stolen. She's pointing this out. And they're all, not only did they let her speak, they're all cheering. Well, I didn't see them giving any land back. I mean, the governor was right there. He could give the state capital back. Right? And at the same time this insanity is happening, there's what, a 3.5-hour cabinet meeting that Trump is presiding over? I mean, not only was it hilarious, it did tedious at times, frankly. I mean, God forbid if I tell you, I said, I hate to stand. Sometimes it's painful, but mostly because I just hate it. But standing behind Trump when he's speaking has got to be the most exhausting thing on the planet. Now, the cabinet, most of them got to sit. But it went on about 3.5 hours, Trump explicating on everything and anything from, from Chicago crime to, what's the restaurant chain? I can't believe it. Well, I can't believe. I'm happy. I'm Cracker Barrel. I'm forgetting about it already. We have one locally. I think it's pretty good. Anyway, just going on about everything. And then I got to tell you, this cabinet that he has assembled, proving that he has learned from the mistakes of his first term, which was a pretty damn good presidency, by the way. But the cabinet he has assembled, I mean, all stars. It is outstanding, pretty much to a person. And it was beyond impressive. Somebody texted in, the point is, and I guess this is the Democrat point, is that the military do not belong in the streets patrolling them with guns to be used against American citizens. Well, you're already lost out on your logic. Well, then we've got to take the guns off the cops. We have to take the guns off the FBI. We got to take the guns off the DEA. Well, this is one I don't have a problem with. Take the guns off the IRS. The listener continues, however. So you're wrong already, okay? Like, somehow you're offended that someone's patrolling the streets with guns. Well, there are criminals and gang members patrolling the streets with guns. Again, they missed the entire point. But let's continue. There are provisions stating this. Okay, find the provision, please. Find the provision. Don't try to pretend this is martial law. By the way, there's provisions that provide for the military to be on the streets with guns. None that prevent it that I'm aware of, but I'll stand corrected. Anyway, they continue. I want to finish this before we go to hear from our great sponsors. There are provisions stating the governors need to ask for help to activate the troops. Well, no, they don't. It's helpful, but it can be done otherwise. But remember, Washington, D.C., if that's what you're referencing, is neither a state nor a self-governing city. Trump has absolute right to activate, activate's not the right word. You used it, I won't. To bring in the troops. They continue. What Trump can do is provide the funds that were cut for cops in our cities. So in other words, I have to pay because New York City, Chicago, St. Louis, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Philadelphia cut funding for cops. I have to pay as a national taxpayer. Is that what you're saying? And number two, people are dying now. People are being attacked and ravaged now. How long does it take to hire and train a cop? Minimum of a year. So your solution lets people die in the meantime. Your non-solution, I should say. You don't want to stop crime. They finish. But he will not do that. He wants the military control of the USA. I mean, why do you be that stupid? Doris from Falls, PA. Why do you be that stupid, Doris? Seriously. You must be watching PBR left stream media. Seriously. Donald Trump wants military control of the USA. My God. Where did you even get that? Really? Somebody says, are your listeners okay with the National Guard being activated to protect from looters after a natural disaster? Yeah. Lord, oh Lord. It's quite amazing. And I want, Doris, what I want you to do, seriously, I want you to continue to listen to the show. I want you to listen with an open mind. We are going to prescribe common sense. if a city cannot or refuses to protect its own citizens. I want you to tell me where you disagree. It is the job of someone to do it for them. The people you're defending, Muriel Bowser in Washington, D.C., Brandon Johnson in Chicago, Mayor Bass in Los Angeles, these are incompetent left-wing lunatics. And they don't care because they're not affected by crime. Brandon Johnson has, it's been reported, up to 135 people who rotate providing him 24/7 protection. What does he care? He doesn't give a spit about some single mother in the south side of Chicago trying to raise her kids. Unreal. All right. Doris, stay with us. We may be able to bring you around. Please stay with us. We'll take a break. We've got a little history after our great sponsors, a little music, and then you. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Love and Spoonful. Murph tells us this date, 1966, they had the #1 hit with Summer in the City. For our younger audience, which we have many, we like to play the old stuff because this is stuff that you guys should be aware of and music history. By the way, somebody points out, Bob LTS, during your opening remarks, you mistakenly said that the liberal listener must be getting your information from PBR. I think you meant NPR. Yeah. I meant PBS. Did I say PBR? Yeah. Not from Pabst Blue Ribbon. No. Doris was rational. She just needs to be corrected, and we need to tell her the facts outside of Trump derangement syndrome by the media that she probably listens to. And it's almost unavoidable, Doris. So we want you with us. Hey, last night, and I'm continually, and I say happily, bombarded with information by listeners and friends and all this stuff. And so they brought my attention to an article that was going to be in today's Times Leader, and it's the front page. Scranton Mayor Paige Cognetti is seriously considering a run for Congress in the 8th Congressional District. When did I tell you about this? In 2024. And I love it. She says, it wasn't my plan. The phoniness is off the charts. Now, I want to remind you of this. This is a woman who has a great game. Uses the buzzwords, all the code words, all the jargon. Is totally committed to the left-wing lunatic agenda. Completely. All in. 1,000%. Now, she hasn't paved our streets. We're way behind fixing City Hall. By the way, 5 years later, she has knocked down the building I complained about up in the hill section. There's still another standing. Maybe that's next. But she's had a completely ineffective mayoralty in the city of Scranton. He's been an awful mayor, like a literal do-nothing mayor. Just drive up to Nayock Park and take a look at the piles of dirt where a pool system used to sit. She'd been showered with $69 million of COVID money that was hers to spend freely. She lied about it. That she couldn't, no, you're lying. She should have paved the streets, built the pools, and fixed City Hall with space utilization studies so they don't have to buy the building next door. To expand a city government that is now presiding over less than half of the population it had when the City Hall was built. Oh, yeah, and the police were downstairs. So it's complete phoniness. And this, every 2 years, you look at Paige Cognetti's resume, and it's a beautiful looking resume. 0 accomplishments, jumping from job to job to job. As soon as she's ready to get exposed, she's got to jump from mayor now. Now she's got to leave mayor because she's done nothing, and she's going to be exposed. Hopefully, by losing this election to Gene Barrett. We're going to see. But as I told you, she's running for Congress. She has no interest in the city of Scranton. 0. And I know it's an exaggerated issue when somebody has further ambitions. It very seldom gains traction. But I want you to know she never cared about the city. It was merely a stepping stone. Do you remember when she was on school board? And most people don't. She was on the school board, and Mr. Paul, executive producer, sent me an article of her leaning on a school bus, how she was going to straighten the Scranton School District out. Well, as soon as the decisions got tough, She left. She left that office, the school board, because she was going to either have to raise taxes or reorder spending and cut it. And as soon as the decisions got tough, she left. And now as mayor, she's done nothing but float and glide. And I'm a resident. I know. I live with it. Quite amazing. And sad. And this is the Democrat left-wing philosophy. You fail upwards. Oh, Lordy, 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 Lord. Unbelievable. Somebody says, why do you intentionally never talk about Weston Field? Well, so a pool got rebuilt at Weston Field in 5 years, and you want kudos for this mayor. She had $69 million in her hands to be spent as she chose, and we got nothing done. Please. That's a classic Democrat left-wing defender. All right, we were way over, but this subject bears a lot of conversation. Your mayor candidate and sitting mayor is talking about running for, and I don't know, did she think she was clever doing it in the Wilkes-Barre paper? As though we wouldn't find it or see it? I don't know. No, I can't say they're more clever than that. When it comes to politics, they're as clever as it gets. When it comes to actually doing something, they suck. We'll take a break and be back. If you go to the Bloomsburg Legion, you'll see this corollary to what Sam Elliott just read. What is a veteran? A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America and its people for an amount of up to and including his or her life. Mike McGurran. We lost him August 11th. He's survived by his wife, Mary Ryder McGurran, who they would have celebrated their 22nd wedding anniversary this October. Born in Scranton, he was a graduate of Holy Rosary High School in the great North Scranton. He was a member of the Pennsylvania National Guard. He used to tell the story of how, while with the Guard, he was assigned armed duty to help seal off the flood-stricken Southside Flats during Hurricane Diane. He was also a U.S. Army veteran. He relocated to New Jersey, working in the printing industry. While in Jersey, he discovered karaoke, and he performed in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. His obit picture is with a microphone. Member of the Mary Mother of God Parish, VFW Post 25, the Polish Club, and the German American Federation. He's survived by his wife and a number of other family members. Michael McGurran. Nelson DeWahy, Roaring Brook Township. He was 85 years of age when he passed August 12th. He was surrounded by family. He's survived by his beloved wife for 63 years, Sally. Born in Scranton. He was raised in the Hyde Park section of West Scranton and graduated from St. Patrick's High School. He attended the University of Scranton and honorably served us in the legendary 109th Infantry Regiment of the Pennsylvania National Guard. He was employed in manufacturing and hospitality industries, a production manager for CD Sportswear, owner of Dunn & Bynum's Tavern, and inventory control for Kane Enterprises. Lifelong member of St. Anne's Maronite Church in West Scranton. His life was a testament to his strong faith and the values he held dear. In addition to his wife, he survived by 2 daughters, a son, their spouses, 5 grandchildren, and his best friend of 80 years, Edward Deeb. Beloved grandfather, Nelson DeWahy. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga. And it's time to start thinking weekend, Labor Day weekend, and Basiliga hospitality. The incredible properties from a Terra 519 and Sergei's, the nightclub. It'll be right in the middle of the action for Festa Italiana. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny with a passing shower possible. It'll only get up to 70. I think it won't even come close because it's 57 outside the studio. I saw the 70s reports yesterday, and so I came out in T-shirts and shorts. I'm freezing out there. Tonight, clear and cool, low 50. Thursday, sunny with a chance of evening showers, 75. Friday, partly sunny with a few scattered showers, 70. And then it's supposed to be a fabulous weekend. I'm looking forward to that report. Great sleeping weather, though, isn't it? With the windows open. Now, Cutie and I are watching this Apple series. It's a number of years old, but it's called The Morning Show. And we're you know how you get into these things. Didn't go to bed till midnight. I want 9 hours of sleep. And I got to get up at 6. I actually got up before 6 today because the Chauncedonts had to go outside or seemed to be indicating that. He got up on the bed to and all 100 pounds of him, and he's what? I don't know what he wanted. I don't know if he wanted affection or whatever, but he did his business when I took him outside. So, yeah, I can't function on 6 hours sleep. Some people that I know can, like Trump, could function on an hour. Yeah. In any event, here's the problem with the left and their acolytes. And I love you guys. You know that. Or I hope you know that. Somebody texts in, where was the National Guard on January 6th? Nancy Pelosi refused them. Mayor Muriel Bowser refused them. I mean, how many times does the truth have to hit you in the face? Nancy Pelosi admitted it. The sergeant at arms of the House, who's the head of the Capitol Police, he admitted it. They were authorized by Trump. They were turned down by the Democrats. And it's not even a party thing. They were turned down by the idiots. The same people who don't want the same people, same philosophy, that don't want your streets to be safe. That don't care about a poor black kid in the south side of Chicago or in D.C. that just wants to go to school. The hell's the matter with you? Lord. Here's another troll. So if you're mayor, you can't run for any office? Is that what you're saying? In what world did I say that? See, you only hear what you want to hear, troll. Why is that? What benefit is it to you? Seriously, to just make stuff up. I didn't say that. If she was doing the job as mayor, my point is this. She doesn't care about the city of Scranton. She doesn't care about its problems. She never wanted the job. It was a stepping stone, which is part of the reason that she stunk at the job and that she's awful as mayor and that the city looks dirtier, is more difficult to traverse, and has more crime. That's why. You can run for anything you want. What do I care? I want her to be defeated for mayor because we can't take 4 more years of her as mayor. And she can't shine a candle to Rob Bresnahan and his lifetime of accomplishment. You can't compare. It's not even close to what he could do and what he's already done in 8 months as a congressperson. She's a left-wing loon. She's an incompetent. Dear Lord. So, and here's another troll. If you burn the American flag, you go to jail, which I like. I don't. I'm against what Trump said yesterday. But I've got a piece on it that you'll be hearing later in the program. They continue. But if you beat a cop with an American flag in the name of Trump, you get pardoned. Can't make this crap up, MAGA world. The people who got pardoned had already been punished. Did you know that? Or do you just care about turning a phrase? They'd already been punished. They'd already been punished. I'll say it 50 times. You won't listen. We'll be back. This date, 1966, Donovan moved from number 10 to number 5 with his hit Superman, or Sunshine Superman, Murph says. Somebody texts in, Scranton is nothing more than a shooting, stabbing, drug deals, rundown properties. It looks like just another rundown Democrat city. Somebody else texts in, Bob, I proudly wrote that check. I served in the Army Reserves, on active duty, and in the Pennsylvania National Guard. There's the other part, which proves who we are talking about when we're talking about these left-wing idiots. These are your friends and neighbors serving in the National Guard. These are not jackbooted thugs as the Gestapo, things they try to present them as. Fascists. You're mentally ill if you believe that. You're mentally ill. I want you to know that. These are your friends and neighbors. These are the people we salute every day. But if you're Page Cognetti, well, we don't need any help here. We'll let people kill themselves. Crime is not a problem. Yeah, for you. And don't think she's any different than Brandon Johnson. Don't think she's any different than Muriel Bowser. Disgrace. Quickly, we'll go to Donald. Hey, Donald.
How you doing?
I'm great, buddy. Go ahead, man. You fire away.
Okay, now the Democratic Party's joy is a party of death, destruction, and gender mutilation. Now, I got some numbers for you, Robert. Chicago Tribune, so far, 262 homicides.
My God.
So far in Chicago. All right, now, at the end of Biden's
Why don't they care about them, the victims,
wait, let me finish.
And their families?
Right. Now, listen, wait a second, what I have to say. Now, at the end of Biden's term in 2021, December 31st, there was 621 homicides, blacks, right? But a year before that, guess what happened? A stupid cop accidentally slain George Floyd, a drug addict, and for 5 years they immortalized this guy.
Yep.
That's the hypocrisy.
Yep.
These people, they got to bring in the National Guard. Let Jim go in and clean it. Spike Lee did a movie, and Obama did nothing, called Chirac, when he was in there. He said, you got to stop the killing. Nobody ever did nothing in Chicago. Go on in and clean up these cities, and these woke, insane mayors that are doing this and governors, they're just doing this for power, and they're just looking for something. It's just as part of their agenda, the death. That's what I think is.
We have a mayor in Scranton. That's part of the same insanity.
What's wrong with these people? They want crime. Like, if they want crime, they want death, destruction. I don't understand these people. They're the exact opposite. I never heard of somebody that would want less crime. Anybody. Even Joe Scarborough said, you wouldn't want more cops, like, to clean it up. The guys said, well, they questioned the Chicago mayor. And he's like, no, not really. I want the crime.
Yeah, Donald, do you remember the old game Twister?
Yeah.
And you had to put your hand on a spot, and then your right leg and your and it's like, that's what they do. They do such insane contortions to get to their agenda, which is unbending, unflinching in the face of fact, truth, and reality. And that's why they suck at their jobs. That's why.
Well, this is real Star Wars movies. They're the dark side. I told you. They are the dark side. They want everything bad for America. They want the destruction of America. And not only that, the Democratic Party...
Donald, quickly, because we don't have much time, and I want to get into this with you deeper. You used to call and defend the Democrat Party and all that. And you've had a conversion. That's why we play I Want to Come Over.
You had to give a chance. You gave me a chance.
Yeah.
They failed at everything.
Now...
Give everybody a chance.
What was the tipping point? What was the final tipping point for you? The transgender?
The gender mutilation. I know all about that. Yeah, that was it. That was really it. But you had to give everybody a chance. Like RFK Jr. is doing good. We gave him a chance. He's doing great. But everybody said give him a chance.
Yeah.
I figured from scratch, give him a chance. After Afghanistan, then you can see the writing was on the wall. The guy was just too old. according to the book, to Jake Tapper, if you read that.
Yeah.
The guy that was in out of a vegetative state.
It's embarrassing. Hey,
It is,
Donald, thank you always, my friend. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Donald's the only guy that has a theme song coming in and going out. I want to come over, which he has, and I can see clearly now. My Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:01. We'll be back. Great good morning, everyone. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it is 10:08 and 50 seconds here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. It's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great company, Basiliga Hospitality, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we lost this year, but celebrate this day thanks to John. Like Nelson Dewahi, Roaring Brook Township, Michael McGurran, Scranton, Jerry Wagner, Humlock Creek, Edward Krantz, Greenfield Township, and a special tribute today to Frank Yarosavich at 10:35 today. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order, this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising a sanctuary of sanity when we're dealing with people who just want to ignore fact, truth, and reality. And I'm not understanding why. I really am not. They tell you about the January 6th, then they all got pardoned. How about the violent criminals? Yeah, violent criminals that got auto-penned pardons from Joe Biden. How about them? You don't say a word about it. You just pretend it didn't happen. And it's so important to note, Trump pardoned the January 6ers. They were stupid. Some of them were criminal. They had already paid the criminal price when he had pardoned them. How do you miss that point? More importantly, why do you miss that point? Why? That's what I want to know. Ridiculous. Somebody takes in Mayor Page makes it look like she's starting a grassroots campaign for Congress. But as we all know, there's big outside Dem money left, not just Dem money, left-wing lunatic money coming in with anti-Bresnahan ads. By the way, before he was even sworn in. What do you think he's running for? He's going to have millions of dollars. For the left-wing lunacy, she will vote for 1,000%. That she will espouse 1,000%. And why would you elect her to Congress? She's been a horrible mayor. Absolutely horrible. Deb from Dallas says, thank you for asking Donald what finally changed him. I figured that's what he had done it, was the child mutilation. Mutilization, probably. My problem. It's just crazy stuff, though. I have a family, this is from a listener. I have a family member in the National Guard, and I'm proud of her. She's my granddaughter. I would be proud to know that she helped save someone from a crime. It's a shame that it has come to this, but our cities are a mess. By the way, let me characterize this. Our Democrat-run cities. And guys, if you're a Democrat and you're saying, well, I don't believe in it, you've got to wear that badge. You voted for these Democrats. And this is the sick, twisted agenda they pursue. But the listener continues. We need to bring back good old-fashioned morals and responsibility. Anything Trump does, the left finds issue with. Would they rather have crime and death 24/7? Wake up, people. LTS from Mountaintop. Yes, apparently so. Dear Lord. Somebody texts in, and I played this tape. The tape of Nancy Pelosi in her Suburban talking to her daughter. Remember, coincidentally or otherwise, her daughter was filming that day, January 6th. She admitted it was her fault for not getting the National Guard there on January 6th when President Trump had requested it. Yep. By the way, doesn't change the criminality of those who went into the Capitol. But what these trolls ignore, again, why is the question? They ignore the fact they've already paid their price. Whatever legal penalties, they'd already suffered them when Trump pardoned the J6ers. Huge difference from anything they're talking about, and a huge fact that they try to ignore. Unbelievable. Here it is. Here's the troll. You're so predictable. Your defense for the indefensible. What's indefensible? Please tell me. Was to talk about Biden or Harris too funny? That you should have two with TOO. Is it indefensible to pardon someone who was punished too harshly? I would argue it's defensible. Did I agree with it? In some cases, yes. They were already punished, and you want to ignore that, so you want to be stupid? Continue. Continue with the process. Hey, Shepton mine disaster. It's an anniversary. And guess what? We're lucky enough to have our man David DeCosmo to reiterate all of this. David, welcome to the Bob Cordaro Show. How are you, my man?
Well, I'm doing just fine, Bob, and this, of course, is an important date in our area history for a lot of reasons.
Hey, David, I was asked, okay, Mark from Hazleton says, and I'm going to interrupt. I don't know if I do it before or after, but I know we'll get on a roll. He said that you were on 2 or 3 episodes of the Forensic Files.
Yes. Well, I was on 1.
Oh, okay. He thought 2 or 3. But he asked me to ask you about it. And do you remember what it was for?
Yeah, it had to do with the murder of a woman out near Sunbury. Her husband had committed the murder, and it took really tremendous technology to prove that, including an enhanced video from a bank teller machine that they sent to NASA to have redone. And they eventually convicted the man. And when the producers went to the judge, actually, we're looking for the district attorney. He had since become a judge. They asked him about a news person that covered it, and his secretary said, "Well, you better see David DeCosmo." So
I think that could be that statement could be made thousands of times. Better see David DeCosmo. Hey,
well,
another question while I have you on it. I always joke about it, and I know recall this. Maybe not all the specifics. I joke about it. I said my cutie was giving me these peaches and nectarines that I'm allergic to every day. And I said, I don't want to compare it to a Curly situation here where she was poisoning the lemonade. Is that that's what it was, the electrician, the poor guy.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, another classic, unique case in our area.
We've got to take around an anniversary or at least a banner day for that event. I'd love to have you on about that, okay?
Yeah, trouble is some of these things I think about a day or two later, and then I feel ill about calling late on something.
No, don't you. Do not worry 1 minute, because history's history. We can put the day.
True.
We'd love to be around the time or on a particular day, but let's put that on your blotter to report to us on, okay?
I will do that. And coincidentally, since we're speaking of that, the incident that I called about today actually happened on August the 13th of 1963. But the end of that incident, the happy end to that incident, took place on this date in 1963. If anybody looks up the Shepton Mine incident, They're probably going to look at under Shepton mine disaster, and it was a mine disaster. But if you really think about what happened, you might call it the Shepton mine miracle. Because what happened, Bob, was on August 13th of 63, three men were working in a mine in the small community of Shepton, just outside of Hazleton. And the whole mine structure collapsed. As a matter of fact, I happened to see the headline of the Hazleton Standard-Speaker newspaper on the following day, and that headline read that they had given up trying to get into these guys. And that was true. They realized there was tons and tons of rock they couldn't get through, and they basically gave up. But the brother of one of the men trapped underground said, you know what, if I were in there, the only place I might be safe was in this one chamber they had. Why don't you guys drill over here? And he moved them away from the entrance to the mine to an area above it. And sure enough, they drilled a hole down in right into the chamber where two of these guys were trapped in total darkness.
How many days, David?
Oh, my gosh. Well, from August 13th to August 27th.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, they were located, within 2 days. As a matter of fact, I happened by the site. I wasn't a newsman at the time. I was a disc jockey reading news every hour, but I lived in Hazleton, and I knew it was nearby, so I went over and covered it. And the two guys there were three people in there, Henry Throne, David Fellon, and Lou Bova. Now, they reached this chamber where Henry Throne and David Fellon were located. When I was there was a crew from a small radio station in Shenandoah, and they had lowered a microphone into that little borehole. And
oh my gosh.
so, yeah, you could hear the guys talking. And, of course, what they had to do was they had to enlarge that hole gradually. And you talk about one incident being combined with other things. Howard Hughes, the billionaire, provided the drilling rig that they used to make the bigger borehole to get down into this chamber.
David, correct me. Were they worried that if they went in too quickly, it would collapse on the miners?
Yes, which is why first of all, the first hole, of course, was to see were they going to the right place, and it was. Then they had to enlarge that slightly to send some sustenance down to the guys. Yeah. And then they had to eventually, make it bigger, and that actually triggered another story because they brought both David Fellon and Henry Throne up in what amounted to sort of a parachute harness. Our helicopter pilot at Channel 22, Bob Gobla, said that his dad helped to design that harness. And by the way, that system of rescue has been used in several mine accidents since 1963. But when they were making the bigger borehole, they had to put some material in there to make sure that the earth they were drilling through didn't cave down into those people. And after the two were brought up, very few people know this, a volunteer went back down in looking for the third man, Lou Bova, because they had sent a camera down. And, of course, the cameras were a lot, more primitive then. Yeah. And the camera had picked up something in the corner of this chamber. And they thought it might be the body of Lou Bova. So a volunteer went back down in, and they found out it was the material that they used to prevent the rest of the dirt from coming back. It had been piled up in a corner of that chamber. And so these two guys were rescued. I interviewed them many times on the anniversary of the cave-in. Pardon me. And to his dying day, David Fellon claimed that in the total darkness, before that anyone had reached them, that he had seen the Pope, I guess Pope Pius the 23rd at that time, or Pope John the 23rd, whatever that was. Suppose he'd seen him, and Henry Throne denied seeing anything like that until the very end. Then he claims he did. So I don't know if he was just jumping onto the story or not. Yeah. And here's an interesting related story, Bob, and you'll appreciate this. There's a musical group called The Boys, based out of Wilkes-Barre, and they recorded a song called Timothy. And the Timothy story, the song lyrics, suggested that 3 men were trapped underground in a mine. 2 of them survived, but the inference in the song was that they survived by cannibalizing the third. And a lot of people believed that that song was related or, made because of the Shepton mine disaster. The song came out in 71, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the writer of that song, Rupert Holmes, insisted that he had never even heard of the Shepton mine disaster. And he also said that if he had heard about it, he would not have written the song.
Yeah.
It was a coincidental type thing, and people who remembered Shepton because it happened in '63. It was still on a lot of people's minds, and once again, all of us in the news media did something about it. Well, until recently, we did something about it every August 13th, recalling the collapse of the mine. I think that's probably stopped. That's kind of a shame. I mean, I'm calling in to have people remember this now, but that's the kind of incident. Bob, every single news media outlet, radio, television, newsreel cameramen, they were still showing newsreels in movie theaters. They were there. Place had 1,000 people up above this hole. And it's something that, for a lot of reasons, is worth remembering. It set a trend for rescue. You had an involvement by billionaire Howard Hughes. It was dramatically successful in terms that the 2 that they did locate were rescued. Of course, Lubova's body was never found. They put up a small memorial stone, a little picket fence in the area where the mine was. 2 years ago, my wife went back down to the area with me, and I said, "Yeah, I'd like to show you this." We couldn't even make our way in. I mean, it was so overgrown around the general area that. But there it sits. It's still on site, I'm sure.
The Shepton mine incident. How many years ago today?
Well, 63 till now. What are we talking? 60-some years?
62 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, and David DeCosmo there for it all. We love it.
Well, I was only ever in an underground mine once. I went down 500 feet into a tunnel to do a story, realizing as we go back on this little train, told to keep our heads down so the beams wouldn't hit us, realizing as I'm going back on this little train that I just came in the only way in and out.
Yeah.
And if anything happened, boy, if I didn't learn the life of miners in that one day, I don't know when I would have learned about it.
All right, David, if that was the only time you were down there, I'll take the Lackawanna County coal mine tour with you.
Now, I've done that.
Okay.
I've done that, and I love it. I love it.
All right. David DeCosmo, Shepton mine incident 62 years ago. It ended mostly successfully today. An anniversary. Thank you, David, as always.
You're welcome, Bob. Hope all your news is good.
All right, and don't forget David's daily blog on Instagram and Facebook. You'll love it. We'll take a break. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our friend John Basiliga, a true patriot. And today we feature one of his great companies, Basiliga Hospitality. This weekend, and it's Labor Day weekend, you got to go to Festa Italiana. Well, the beauty of that is that means you'll be right downtown. You go to Terra 519 for a cocktail, maybe dinner. You'll see one of the most beautiful restaurants anywhere. And Sergei's Live, the nightclub, it'll be beyond hopping this weekend. All at 519 Linden Street, Scranton. And then you go to the Scranton Art House for a movie on Lackawanna Avenue. Movie, dinner, whatever you want. And those incredibly comfortable seats. Don't forget, looking for a bar restaurant, Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township. Far Street Tavern in the Great Trips Park section of West Scranton. And Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant. Reimagined and beautiful. Our veteran this hour, Frank Yarosavage. We lost him just this July 31st. He was from Pittston. He was 98. His family said he now rejoined with his beloved wife of 67 years, Lottie Dolly Yarosavage. Sadly, also reunited with his son, Kevin. He was a resident of DuPont since 1960. He was the last living sibling of 10. Frank grew up in Scranton, graduated from the great Scranton Technical High School in 1946, then went to the Irvington, New Jersey Trade School as a tool and die maker, 1947. He performed various roles with manufacturers in the Scranton area before his retirement from Gould Battery. Born a Saturday child, they said, Frank did hard work for his living. He was a member of the greatest generation, a World War II Army veteran, having served us in Japan as a light mortar gunner, Troop G, 7th Cavalry Regiment, 1st Cavalry Division. Frank was a member of a 5-man mortar crew, acting as first gunner, trained to take all positions on the mortar. He was the recipient of the World War II Victory Medal and the Army of Occupation Medal in Japan. Frank was an avid fisherman with his sons. He enjoyed skiing until his mid-70s. He loved Westerns, his daughter's cooking, and a lot of other things. He's survived by his son, Mark Yarosavage, his grandsons, Kevin and Kenneth, his daughters, Patricia Voveris, and his daughter, Sharon Piper, who joins us now. Sharon, welcome to the Bob Cordaro Show. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm so excited to do this today. The epitome of the greatest generation, your dad, Frank Yarosavage.
Well, thank you. But he would, I think I wrote you a note. He would first be shouting the praises of his siblings, and if you'd be so kind, I'd like to do the same thing.
Please.
Okay. So his oldest brother was John. He was in the Marines and would not allow my father to join the Marines. Everybody in the family called him Sonny. He was the baby. His other brother, Billy, was a gunner in the Navy. His other brother, Eddie, was in the Army with General Patton in both Germany and Italy. And he had a half-sister, Agnes, who was a surgeon with her husband in the Navy. And interestingly enough, when the war was over and they came home, both of those surgeons became chicken farmers in upstate New York. They had seen enough. And so he because he was the baby and the time of him coming in, he basically was doing occupation duty in Japan. So that's why I want to make sure I shout out all of his siblings, because his duty in his mind was very different from theirs, even though he was overseas in Japan guarding the Imperial Palace and the surrounding areas in Japan.
Sharon Piper's our guest. We're talking about her dad and his family, Frank Yarosavich. So how many of them served? How many of these 10 siblings served?
All of the sons, all 4 boys served and came home, and his half sister was also in the Navy. So, just a family of a lot of service. And even his sisters had husbands who served as well. But obviously their names are different. They're not Yarosavich. So I wanted to make sure, because I literally spent a lifetime of every time somebody thanked my dad for his service, he'd say, no, wait, I got to tell you what my brothers did. And so I wanted to make sure I got a chance to do that today.
I see his pictures both as a young man that you sent me, both as a young man and in his obituary. You want to talk about a kind face. You just like him.
Indeed.
You love him immediately.
Yeah. A very good soul. I was very lucky to have him as my dad.
Yeah. Hey, and your mom, they were married for 67 years. Dolly, they called her. Her name was Lottie.
Yeah. Dolly, I'm so sorry. I'm losing it.
I am too, so don't worry about it.
There are people in life that should not have children, or they've had children and done a really bad job, or there's families that are messed up, and I can't say any of that. I got the full house, right? I don't play poker, but I think full house is a big deal. I got very lucky in the parent pool, and to your point, just looking at his face, you could see that he was a kind soul, and just a very generous spirit his whole life. And as I said, the minute somebody would say something to him about his service, he'd say, no, I got to tell you what my brothers did. I got to tell you what everybody else did, because he was the baby of the family. You think 1927, he saw the Great Depression. He just saw so much, right, growing up in a family that's really, really big. And he grew up in Scranton, PA. And at the time, in his early years, it was a very heavy Lithuanian population. So, that's a certain kind of culture. It's a certain kind of spirit. It's all around family, and, of course, Christian Catholic values. And he always told the story how on Sundays their church had 5 masses, and they'd be standing room only at all 5. So a very, very different time. His parents came here through Ellis Island. And so, just a remarkable life. And it's interesting because the original name is Jetaseviches, which starts with a J and ends with a U.S., which is Lithuanian. But somehow in Ellis Island, they turned that into Yarosavich with a Y. So,
Sharon, you were telling me that he really did want to reach 100, didn't he? And he was in good health right to the end.
Yep. I would say 48 hours prior to his really passing in his sleep very peacefully in his home and in his bed, and, never a day in the hospital and all of that. But literally 48 hours early, he said, I think I'm going to make my 100. And I said, well, I don't see any reason why not. Nobody sees any reason why not. He really had great health, just a strong eater. He loved anything everybody cooked for him, and we went out a lot. But just kind of, I think I wrote to you, I didn't see it coming, even though other people would say hey, he was 98 and a half. And I said, no, you don't understand. He was a young 98 and a half.
Yeah.
He had total recollection of everything as a child and all of his life journey. So I'm so blessed, right? No dementias, no Alzheimer's, no cancers. Like, just really, he got a lucky draw in life. He outlived all of his siblings. They all passed in their mid to late 90s, and the baby girl,
Wow.
she passed at 96.
Wow.
So at 98, he outlived all of them, which I think was one goal that he had in life. But he did really want to be 100. He wanted to reach that milestone. And, it's okay.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, like, 98 and a half, not to be sick, and not be in a hospital or a nursing home in your last days, that is such a blessing. So it's it's a shock to the people who weren't expecting it, and I'm sure it was a shock to him. But at the end of the day, I know he's in a good place. I know that.
Oh, so but a life well lived, service to this country, and he was in manufacturing around this area, finishing up with Gould Battery. So an ordinary profession, but an extraordinary life.
Oh yeah. No, I mean it's interesting. He when he was younger, the car industry out in Detroit, Michigan, called him out and wanted him to come there, but there was a bit of reluctance on the part of my mom. It's a different time to pick up and leave and do that with 4 children. And so what he did was unique. Early in his career, he was a tool and die maker. And when I try to explain that to young people today, it's like he had to have the ability to set up equipment to be within 100th of error. And today, like, nobody could possibly do that. Everything is computerized because the human element has been lost to do that kind of work.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, yes, he was definitely in manufacturing, and then at Gould Battery, he was more in transport and warehouse management and all that kind of stuff. Because again, manufacturers had evolved, and that tool and die making, that kind of hands-on, just got converted into, or the manufacturers left the area. That happened to him twice, where manufacturers left the area. So they'd come in and get tax advantage for 10 years, and then the day before the 10th year, they would close their doors. You know what I mean? And just some of those kind of shenanigans went on many decades ago. But yeah, just a blessed soul, just a blessed soul.
Well, you have blessed us with your recollection of him, and I appreciate that so much, Sharon Piper. Your dad was one of the greatest generation, and deservedly so. Frank Yarosavich, our veteran today. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. I'll have a better day because of you and your dad. I really will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our Veterans Tribute brought to you by John Basiliga. Basiliga Hospitality. I had to get to that part. The Beatles moved from number 52 to number 8 with their hit Yellow Submarine. I love when the guy goes, "Do, do, 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 do," or something to that effect. I had this album, I think. I didn't buy it like right away, but I did have the album. And of course, isn't it it's a coincidence, but we're talking about Frank Yarosavage talking to his daughter, and this date, 1945, or shortly thereafter, he was among the troops that went into Japan after Japanese surrender in World War II. U.S. troops began landing this date that year. Amazing. What incredible people. Incredible. Let's go to Joe from Berwick. Hey, Joe, how are you? Hi, Joe.
Yeah, I'm doing well, Bob. Thank you. Do you recall getting an article from me earlier this week?
Yes, maybe. I get, you know what it is? I get so many emails, they get buried. That's why I always tell people, I say, don't hesitate to send it again, you know?
Okay. Well, basically what it said.
That was the one I told you call in about it. Here we are.
Oh, okay. And here we are. So it was a very scholarly article where a professor basically said, listen, despite whatever your intentions were with all of this white privilege stuff and all this other stuff, he said, you're basically creating an underclass again, of where you have basically people who are, non-Caucasian in this country are only gaining their notoriety and their value through identifying as a victim. And he says, is that what we really want? And he says, then you, of course, as a white person, only gain, validity by identifying as a victimizer. And he says, we've been there before. Is that what we really want again? Which I thought was a great point.
A great point. It was a great article, Joe. I appreciated it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. So this also brings up another point, which, let's face it, right now, Trump is the undisputed leader of the Republican Party. And good thing he is, because he's leading it like nobody else has led it since Ronald Reagan.
That's right.
Well, he's on to something with this crime issue, and you kind of pointed out. If you follow the logic of the argument that is being made by the opposition, even right now in their little summer get-together, whatever they call it, if you follow the logic of what they're saying, what they're actually stating is, ethnically black or Hispanic neighborhoods should be filled with crime because that's just what we ought to expect of them. That's really what they're saying. And many people who, are living in these areas, there's an
I hadn't heard it put that way, but you know what? There's such a deep core of racism in the leadership of the Democrat Party. Wow. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You're probably aware of this. Even in places like Chicago, the residents there are getting together and they are publicly confronting their elected officials and saying, if you don't start caring about this, we can actually vote Republican. I mean, and I say that because
they got to prove it to wake these idiots up. They have to prove it.
You're right. They have to prove it. But I think there's a chance here for Trump if he does what his instinct tells him to do, and he doesn't worry about the press and the Democrat Party. I think he could make an impression into a population of this country that hadn't voted Republican since like the Civil War, and do it in a big way that nobody ever thought possible if he goes ahead with some of these crime-fighting measures.
Well, Joe, I had heard this yesterday. Charlie Kirk said it. He said, actually, Donald Trump is not only the head of the Republican Party, he's running the Democrat Party because everything they do is in reaction to him. He's completely in charge of the Democrat Party's agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And Here's the thing, too. It has to be done now. I'd hope somebody, who has his ear would whisper into his ear and make sure he knows this. You can't go about with a heavy-handed approach without acknowledging that in the past, law enforcement had been used to sustain and bring about racist policy. Okay, that is the fact, and I think people. There needs to be an acknowledgement
Joe,
of that.
I know the what you're saying is a complete truism. However, we should be past that. Everybody who thinks about it, everybody who wants to be anything but willfully ignorant knows that police were used, and by the way, worldwide, law enforcement, the military, they were used everywhere for oppressive purposes. But it's no longer, and let's move on in that regard.
Well, yeah, and again, the people who live in these areas like Chicago, they want to see the effect of, even when necessary, the police to deal with violent crime.
Yeah, they want to be safe. My gosh, what a revolutionary concept. I'm telling you, these Democrats are Looney Tunes, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know how they justify it, but they do it. Hey, my Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it's 11:02, so we're way past.
Right,
but Joe, thank you for sending me the article, and thank you for highlighting it today. I appreciate it.
Yep, thank you, Bob.
All right, my man. Time for the news with Brian Hughes. We'll be back. Stacey Garrity will be our guest, State Treasurer. Great good morning, everyone. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it is 11:09 and 45 seconds here in the great Northeast this beautiful Wednesday, August 27, year of our Lord 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our friend John Basiliga and his great companies, including Basiliga Hospitality, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we salute today because we lost them this year, like Michael McGurran, Scranton, Nelson Dewahi, Roaring Brook Township, Frank Yera Savage, DuPont, Gerald Jerry Wagner, Hunlock Creek, and Edward Krantz, Greenfield Township. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that through our commitment to common sense, we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you when we're facing a political party led by lunatics, including the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, a man who needs 21 image makers on our taxpayers' dime to keep him relevant and to get him running for president of the United States. Well, there's a little bit of an issue before that. He's got to win re-election. He can't even get a budget passed. But he's still out there. He's this. I always say this. Josh Shapiro, he's the wolf in sheep's clothing. He's a left-wing lunatic. Do not be mistaken. You got to remember, he let that scumbag Krasner, Larry Krasner, run wild in Philadelphia. A George Soros-funded DA, another pro-crime Democrat. He let him run wild when he was Attorney General. He let the governor run wild, Governor Wolf, limiting our freedoms and crushing our economy during COVID. And now he's just awful at his job. Oh, but he shows up everywhere there's a camera. A lot of good that does the rest of us. Well, there may be an alternative. She's not declared candidate yet, but we've talked to Stacey Garrity, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's great treasurer. She's an incredibly accomplished woman, a veteran, great treasurer for the state. She's done so many things, fought for our veterans, even though it wasn't quite her job. And I got to see her recently, and I said, please, tell us what you're up to. And here she is, our state treasurer, Stacey Garrity. How are you?
Hey, Bob. Great to be on with you, and I am fantastic. Thank you.
That's good to hear. Well, you're always upbeat. You have a lot of energy, and if you were to embark upon this trip for governor of Pennsylvania, which we need you desperately, you'll have to even step it up for you.
That's fine. I'm ready.
Tell us, you've been observing Governor Shapiro for these 4 years or 3 years now, and before that as Attorney General. I've seen nothing but political hit jobs as Attorney General. He came up to Scranton twice and prosecuted people and failed in the prosecutions for some poor prison guards, like regular working class people. He actually prosecuted a janitor. He actually had a 70-some-year-old woman with a perp walk in handcuffs. I mean, all for his own aggrandizement, and unbelievable, phony, top to bottom.
It is unbelievable. And at the same time, Bob, you probably know this, but he granted more commutations than any attorney general in 25 years. And he fought to eliminate mandatory life sentences for murders and rapists. It's crazy. He's just too extreme for our state. Oh, he also fought to allow children to have access to sexually explicit content in our public schools. That's just ridiculous.
Now, how has he gotten? You're closer to this than we are, even though I follow it. How has he gotten away with this fake image of being a moderate or normal when he's actually as left as anybody we've ever dealt with in the governor's mansion?
You know, I think it's just because the media doesn't cover it, and he seems to get a free pass on everything. I mean, just today, I don't know if you saw this, but a whistleblower came out because his office tried to cover up the elder abuse. It's crazy. So even boys and girls sports. Now, nobody really talked about this, but in July, at the end of July, he said that he doesn't stand with parents. He doesn't stand with female athletes, but he stands with radical liberals that are pushing a political agenda. So he promised to veto any bill that would protect girls' sports from being forced to include biological males. That's not fairness, and it's not leadership, and really it's a betrayal of common sense.
Right now, and then you go to philosophy, and he's all in on the left-wing lunatic agenda for the reasons you stated and otherwise, but it goes further. There's a level of incompetence. He can't even protect his own governor's mansion.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's bad.
I mean, beyond an embarrassment, because it falls to him. He's in charge of the state police. He's in charge of his security detail. We got our own governor's mansion burned like it was wartime. On to another subject. He cannot get a budget passed. He wants to spend more money than the state is going to take in because it's an election year budget for him.
Well, Bob, every single year he's been in office, he has spent more than what the state has brought in. Just the year that we just finished at the end of June, he spent almost $3 billion more than what we brought in. And if we would have adopt his proposed budget, in 2 years we would be totally out of the surplus plus the rainy day fund, and you and I know what that means, tax increases. Yeah. And Pennsylvanians can't afford it.
And it's the typical of pure politicians like him who they're going to just hang in there somehow until after they're elected and then raise the taxes.
Oh, absolutely. The timing is, it works out actually in time for him to run for president. But make no doubt about it, if we have 4 more years of Josh Shapiro, there's no way around it because he's not taking advantage of, our natural resources that we have here, the natural gas that we have right under our feet.
Stacey Garrity's our guest. She's our Commonwealth of Pennsylvania treasurer, and she is considering a bid. Is that where we're at the moment? Where you're considering a bid for governor of Pennsylvania next year?
Well, Bob, I know you were on vacation, but I announced.
Oh, good. I thought I heard you were going to, and you may have even said that to me when I saw you.
I think I did.
Okay. Well, great stuff. All right. What are your plans for your campaign? What are the things you're doing now, other than radio appearances, putting together an organization, raising money, all that kind of thing? Tell us about your game plan.
Right. So we just announced, about a week ago. So right now we're, making plans for state committee because I'm planning to get that endorsement September 20th. And then we're going to have 6 rally-style events, and at the same time putting together a team. And the first thing we're going to tackle is peeling off the Republicans from the Southeast. So right now, Shapiro, he has quite the lead, but if we peel that off, he immediately goes to single digits. So that's going to be the first order of business.
Everybody says, and I mean, until you announce, frankly, I was telling people he's got too much money, he's fooled too many people, he can't be beat. What does State Treasurer Stacey Garrity say to that?
Well, I'm definitely not as well polished as Josh Shapiro, and I'm not as good of a politician. He's a prolific fundraiser, and we all know that this is going to be a tough race, but I will tell you this, and you know that. I'm a tough worker. In my first race for treasurer, I got outspent 11-1, but pulled out a victory against a popular incumbent. And then this last time around, I got more votes for my reelection than any candidate in Pennsylvania history, including Josh Shapiro. So I've been an underdog my whole life in the Army, in the private sector, and in politics, and that's why I've been able to succeed when the odds are stacked against me. But you know what? We have an opportunity to really turn our state around. And I think, our state has been mediocre for so many years that people think that this is just the way it has to be, and it doesn't have to be this way. We could be leading the nation. We could be creating jobs by unleashing the natural gas we have under our feet. That would create billions of dollars in economic opportunity for our communities. And you know what? Let's talk about school choice. I think parents should be in the driver's seat of their kids' education. And I know you agree with that.
Yep. I said this yesterday. He even went back on his promise to allow kids from failing public schools to go to other public schools. He even went back on that.
He did. And you know what? Right now, we spend $2 billion more a year than when he first came into office. And you know what? Half of our kids can read at grade level. And it's just ridiculous. That's a horrible return on investment. But like typical Democrats, he just wants to keep throwing more money at issues and hoping that they somehow miraculously fix themselves.
Well, and one more issue that's near to my heart, he's not pro-choice. He's pro-abortion. And he cut off funding, not for Planned Parenthood, the abortion mill, but for centers for life, basically, places where, like the Providence Pregnancy Center, that help people through pregnancies. And he cut off all their funding just to prove his bona fides as a left-wing lunatic on abortion.
I know. Tom Wolf didn't even cut that.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's totally ridiculous. We should be, we should be helping women and making sure that they know everything that there is to offer instead of trying to force them into a decision that, they might not want to make.
Yeah. Well, Stacey Garrity, I'm excited to have you. Could come on anytime. I want you to know that. Anytime you have an issue, anytime you have something to address, you are more than welcome on the program. Just let us know. I'm excited that you're running for governor. I'm very happy that you are. And you stay safe and strong on the campaign trail and as our great treasurer.
I will. Thank you so much for having me, Bob. And I look forward to being on a lot more.
Anytime. You know it.
All right, my friend.
Thank you. Stacey Garrity, our candidate for governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We'll be back. James Taylor, this date, 1977. He moved from number 12 to number 5 with his hit Handyman. He's a goofy bastard, but, you know, good musician. We like his songs. Somebody, by the way, before that, Michael Vick. That was 2007. I don't know. There is something, I mean, it's an abhorrent practice, dogfighting. And he suffered gravely for that crime. But I really rooted for him when he came back. Didn't have a great career after he came back, but he did some things. And just that he came back was a good thing. Hey, somebody texted in, Bob, if Stacey Garrity has a puncher's chance, nobody wants this insane transgender society and gender operations on our innocent children. If McCormick beat a household name like Casey over this issue, Garrity can beat Shapiro. I agree. It's not going to be easy. He's going to have more money than God to lie. Because it's his platform for president. So he wants to win and win big. Somebody texted in something I was mentioning to Stacey Garrity. LTS, don't forget, Kenny, and Krasner presided over Philadelphia, becoming the murder capital of America and the largest open-air drug market in Kensington. Jimmy from Harvey's Lake reminds us. He's been awful. Don't forget the failed prosecutions here in Northeast Pennsylvania with the Scranton School District and the Lackawanna County Jail. Going after poor prison guards. And they were pleading because they had no resources to fight back. And it was trumped up crimes for his and the Scranton Times political agenda. Somebody texts in, the Cracker Barrel logo change was a publicity stunt, like when International House of Pancakes proclaimed they were changing to International House of Burgers. No, it wasn't. No, these people were dead serious. And I'm curious because, you know, the remodeling, Mr. Paul pointed this out. One of our executive, he is our executive producer. The remodel is about a lot more. They want to take away the identity of the restaurant because it was Americana, old Americana. That's what a Cracker Barrel store is all about. They wanted to take it away. They hated it. It represented America. And these left-wing globalist corporate CEOs who think everything should be like Park Slope in Brooklyn. They don't know us. They don't like us. Isn't that clear? The Democrat Party and all of these woke CEOs and corporate executives, they don't like us. They don't care if we're their customers. They don't like us. And they hate worse that they can't change us. They can't stop us from voting the way we vote. They can't stop us from thinking the way we think. They can't stop us from loving this country the way it was founded and the way it was meant to be, and the ingredients that made this country the greatest force for good in the history of the planet, in the history of humanity. And all that Americana bothers the hell out of them. All the stuff at those beautiful Cracker Barrel stores. Go down there before they ruin it, and let's hope they don't ruin it. They claim they're continuing with the renovations. And those renovations, I was saying it yesterday, I said, wait a minute. We've got, here's a store that has a unique story. Cracker Barrel. Like, it's got a story to tell. It's got its identity. Sell the identity. Now, and remember, follow the reasoning. It's got a unique place in the market. It's got a unique shtick. Now, what you do if you care about the company and care about your customers is you do your shtick better. You don't make it homogenized and like any other roadside chain, you keep its uniqueness. No, they wanted to destroy the American features of this chain. And they still do, by the way. You know, DEI, how most of these companies, they've stopped the DEI, but they've transmorphed it into something else within the corporation. They haven't gotten rid of it. They still want to destroy what America is, a meritocracy and a place that believes in itself. Now, somebody with an opposite opinion, Bob, just like Wayne Bank just changed their logo. Well, Wayne Bank's a great American company. Very different, by the way. This woman, I've watched her. She's a typical left-winger. And I was watching on Laura Ingraham last night. They brought this guy onto the board who was a DEI consultant and specialist. Well, what did you think was going to happen next? Somebody says, Cracker Barrel did not, you're wrong. Cracker Barrel did not just want a simple change. They wanted to rebrand and recreate the company. They didn't like what it was. Well, what the hell are you doing running it for? You're running it to ruin it? And by the way, are you going to tell me now that Bud Light knew what they were doing with Dylan Mulvaney? These people are insane. These people are committed. It doesn't matter if it's Mayor Cognetti or this CEO. They are committed to their agenda. And they just like communists, they meld into the woodwork and come back at you in another way. That's why we play the battle is over, but the war goes on. Well, the program goes on, but we've got to hear from our great sponsors. Let's do that. We'll come back with a Veterans Tribute, the weather, and you. 570-883-0098 to call or text. one of our great listeners suggested this as the music bed for our Veterans Tribute. My Red, White, and Blue by Coffee Anderson. Thank you for that. So I tell you, we can't do the show without you. And a reminder, you go to the Bloomsburg Legion, you'll see a stone outside. What is a veteran? A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, is someone who, at one point in his or her life, wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America and its people for an amount up to and including his or her life. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, and his incredible companies, including Basiliga Hospitality. Just the mention of all these great stops makes my mouth water. Old Brook Inn, Springbrook Township, Far Street Tavern, and the great Trips Park section of West Side, Scranton Art House, First Run Movie Theater in downtown Scranton, Terra 519, one of the finest dining experiences anywhere. Sergei's Live, run underneath, both at 519 Linden Street, Scranton, the nightclub. Queen City Tavern in Oliphant. You'll love it. And the incomparable old world, old school Stegmeyer Mansion, downtown Wilkes-Barre. Gerald Jerry Wagner. We lost him August 11th. He was 82 years old. Preceded in death by siblings, 4 of them. But he survived by sisters Elaine, Bonnie, Glenda, Michelle, Cheryl, and brothers Tim, Lynn, Donald, Kevin. Big family. He was a graduate of Lake Lehman High School, class of 61. He then served for more than 15 years as its proud Navy storekeeper while in Vietnam performing counterinsurgency work. He also served aboard Naval Air Stations Quonset Point and Bermuda, and aboard the USS Procyon, the USS Vulcan, and the USS John King. After leaving the Navy, he worked with the Military Sea Lift Command, serving aboard the U.S. Navy ship Hayes. He then worked for more than 20 years for Newport News Shipbuilding, eventually returning to Dallas, PA. He was awarded the Republic of Vietnam Technical Service Honor Medals, which were rarely awarded to foreigners. He loved car racing. He was a supporter and sponsor of Rainbow Racing all over the East Coast. He was buried out of Swanson Funeral Home, Hunlock Creek. Jerry Wagner, August 11th, 2025. Edward Krantz. He was 78 years old when we lost him August 8th. He was from Greenfield Township. His wife was by his side when he died. He survived by her. They were married 53 years. Dorothy Davis Krantz, married in 1972. Born in Carbondale, graduate of the great St. Rose High School in that city. He then attended the University of Scranton. He was a U.S. Army veteran during the Vietnam era. Lifelong faithful member of Our Lady of Rosary Parish, Carbondale, and the American Legion post in Mayfield. He worked construction his whole life, owned and operated Greenfield Terrace Construction Company for 20 years. He later worked for the great Grimm Construction Company, Waymart, and the Hadley Construction Company, Pittston. He was truly a man of faith, devoted to his wife and family. He's survived by his wife and 3 great nieces who he helped raise and called his girls, and a slew of other family members. Edward Krantz. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, sunny with a passing shower possible, 70 degrees. Tonight, clear and cool, 50. Thursday, sunny with a chance of evening showers, 75. Friday, partly sunny with a few scattered showers, 70. And I heard tell on the morning news that the weather's going to be great this weekend. Let us hope so. Got the big polenta dinner up at Johnny Anelli. I'm looking forward to it all year. So let's hope the weather holds out for us. Pat Benatar. She released her debut album in the heat of the night. Murph picked Heartbreaker for her, but this date, 1979. And there you go. More Democrat insanity, proof of their insanity. Hillary and Joe talking about, with such passion, how they're going to protect the flag. And now Trump's a dictator because he's going to protect the flag. And by the way, I'm not for a law against flag burning. Let the idiots do it. Let us know. I want to know who they are. But that's besides the point. The hypocrisy of these fools. I'd love to hear Hillary's sentiments on it. Well, it'll be the same as everybody in the cult. Everybody in the left-wing lunatic cult. By the way, Pastor Mitch checking in, saying, God bless the veterans. God bless the USA. LTS back at you. He says, God bless me. I have been. I've been greatly blessed. Speaking of Mother Teresa for August 27th. She says, what you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. We'll take a break and be back. Murph tells us that on this date, 1992, the handwritten lyrics from John Lennon for the Beatles' hit A Day in the Life sold at Sotheby's auction for $87,000. This from the newsroom, not of WILK, but of the Bob Cordaro Show. Millions are dying every day from the Medicaid cuts contained in the big mediocre bill. Millions dead. More on this later if we're still alive. Do you see these fools? They'll say anything. Somebody texted in. Bob, the Democrats will do or say anything to get your vote. They have absolutely no moral values, conviction on any issue. Only what will help them get elected, like fake cuts they make about Medicare and Social Security to scare you to vote for them. So sad. And our condolences to the millions who have died, the millions who have been killed by ICE agents, the millions who have died under the onerous cuts to Medicaid, Social Security, and the millions who've been slaughtered in Washington, D.C. by our National Guard. Oh, the humanity. The humanity. Well, we're going to finish with Jackson Brown because it's exactly what I feel. This date, 1977, he recorded this hit Stay live at the